Hey everyone, Liam from Solitude here. Thanks for coming back for another video. And I saw this little clip come up about Ben Lee talking about the Australian music industry lately. And I wanted to talk about it because it got me thinking about some things. So check it out.
I wanted to have a little bit of a rant about something going on in the Australian music industry.
Okay, you mad?
I don't know if I'm mad, but I'm motivated to talk about it.
Okay.
I guess I'm a little mad, sure.
I don't know what you're about to say, but...
There's this artist I've been following online called Eka Vandal, who Flea turned me on to. Like when I was talking about Australian artists, Flea was like, don't forget Eka Vandal. And so I started following her. Awesome artist from Melbourne, hybrid of a lot of different like rock and funk and hip hop, interesting things going on musically. She's currently in New York recording at Electric Ladyland Studios. Travis Barker's laying down drums on this record. This artist has got some international momentum going on, right? I don't know what it is. I'm not hearing people in the Australian music industry talking about it. And it really highlights for me how this is such an ongoing issue that we go through over and over and over, where Aussie artists that don't fit the pop mainstream kind of medium kind of get discovered by overseas audiences and overseas parts of the industry. And Australia doesn't get behind them.
Doesn't hype it.
Like there are so many examples. Party Dozen, who I went to see the other night, are like developing a real buzz around the world. Really great. Amyl and the Sniffers obviously like built this audience internationally before Australia really paid attention. Radio Free Alice are selling out venues throughout the UK. Quivers from Melbourne, who like got signed by Merge, who are arguably like one of the indie labels with the most credibility of anywhere in the world. We've got Triple J, which is essentially a commercial music radio station. That's fine. They can be that. But we don't have the way KCRW in LA or BBC Radio 6 in the UK, something that actually celebrates things that are cutting edge, not just because they might have the next number one hit.
Right.
And I just think we only know what to do with things that are going for the toppermost of the poppermost.
Right.
You know, music blogs in Australia should be talking about, hey, this artist Eka Vandal has got this amazing thing. Let's be on top of it in conversation.
How do we do it? I'm motivated.
Well, I think I'm trying to do it
Okay,
here.
all right.
I mean, we kind of stand at constant risk of losing our most radical and interesting artists unless they go pop.
Right.
You know what I mean? I felt that in my own career. I'm not saying I was like so avant-garde, but I didn't have a hit until my fourth record. But the support that got me there all came internationally.
Yeah.
You know? Australia needs a pathway where we can get behind artists that actually offer alternatives and aren't designed to be funneled into the top 10.
It's truth.
We just need more of these grassroots platforms that have a different goal in mind. So I don't know what it looks like. I'm playing a benefit for FBI radio this week.
Yeah.
So that's that.
I'm
that's
with you. I love it.
And then Amyl and the Sniffers are going to be supporting AC/DC. I think it should be the other way around. I don't know. AC/DC, it's fine.
So that's Ben Lee talking about what he thinks is going wrong in the Australian music industry, that Australians are not promoting our own artists enough, okay? So let me start off by talking about Ben Lee. All right, well, Ben Lee, I love Ben Lee. He is a great musician. I loved a lot of the music that he put out in the mid-2000s. I love that album, Awake is the New Sleep. It was really kind of like one of the big albums that I got into when I was a kid around that age. And I went back and listened to all of his older stuff when I got into it. I love the Breathing Tornadoes stuff, you know, like the Cigarettes Will Kill You song, one of my favorite Australian songs of all time. Love this guy, okay? Great musician. I love the passion for Australian music. And I like that he's you know, willing to share his opinions. I've seen a few videos of him talking about stuff lately, and I love it. I love that he gets out there and says what he thinks. There's a few parts of his opinion that I agree with. There's a few parts that I disagree with. Let me talk about the stuff that I agree with to start off with. Are there artists that don't get the attention they deserve in Australia? Yes, totally agree. That's part of the reason why I made this channel, because I'm passionate about that too, and I want to get other artists that I don't think are getting the attention that they deserve out there. Now, my channel is still really small. I don't really have a lot of influence, so I can't get that much push out there. But hey, every now and then, sometimes I speak about an artist that someone may not have heard of before, and it might mean they check them out. And that's cool, and that's what I like about this channel, right? So totally agree with him on that. let's kind of talk about a few things before I get into the nitty-gritty of what I disagree with. First off, let's talk about the first artist he talks about, Eka Vandal, all right? Eka Vandal. I love Eka Vandal. I've seen her live before. She is an awesome musician. I saw her support DZ Death Rays at a show that I went to a few years back. He reckons that the Australian music industry, the conglomeration that is like the Australian scene, you know, he kind of mentions Triple J, so I think he's talking about them generally, and he says blogs, but you know, that zeitgeist it does not talk about Eka Vandal enough, in his opinion. Okay, well, here's the thing. Triple J went really hard pushing Eka Vandal in 2017. They pushed her real hard, okay? So I don't know if he was around following Eka back then, but she's had her go, okay? They've pushed her. They gave her a feature album. I remember a lot of the presenters really liked her song Future Heroine and put it in their top 10 votes that year. I was listening to Triple J a lot when that album came out, okay? So to say that she hasn't had her go at being pushed by the Australian music industry, in my opinion, is inaccurate. Here's the next thing I want to talk about. So he kind of goes on to say like that Triple J and the Australian music industry don't promote the Australian artists enough, and he lists a few other artists that he really likes that he thinks should be getting more attention. There's two reasons why I disagree with this, and okay, let me start with the first thing, and I'll kind of start off with this statement. His opinion, in my opinion, is kind of like a 5 to 10-year-old opinion of the Australian music industry. Like, what I mean by that is 5 to 10 years ago, what he said right now, everyone was saying. This kind of like idea that Triple J were the main gatekeepers of the Australian music industry and that they were assholes for not playing the band that I love, you know? When I was doing community radio in 2016 to 2019, those 3 years, this was the common sentiment. You know, everyone in the industry hated Triple J unless you got played by them, then you loved them. So I feel like he's kind of on that sort of train of thought that, you know, Triple J need to be doing better sort of thing, okay? I don't really kind of jive with that anymore. And there's a few reasons why, but it's mostly because it's no longer accurate to say that Triple J are the gatekeepers of the Australian music industry. And really, what controls the music industry at wide, and this is Australia as well included, is the algorithm. Okay, so to say like, you know, that platforms should be promoting artists more, promoting them better, this day and age, I just don't really think that is the right mindset, because really, you know, these platforms like Triple J and blogs, they want to talk about what, you know, they think is cool, but they also want to talk about stuff that gets attention, okay? So if you write an article about this random jazz funk band from Sydney that you think is really cool, and you just expect people to click on it, are people really going to click on it? Well, in this day and age, no. It needs to be something that, like, you know, gets attention. And it really helps if you go for stuff that's algorithmically friendly, okay? So that's why these blogs and Triple J usually just end up promoting the stuff that the algorithm pushes. So, you know, because they want to get clicks. They're part of the algorithm as well, you know? So if you have a song that you think is really great and you want it to be promoted, in my opinion, look, there's not really any point in approaching radio stations like Triple J or community radio stations or blogs and getting them to promote you. There's no point, because people won't click on something that they aren't already interested in or that doesn't grab their attention. If you want to get promoted as an Australian artist, what you need to do is work on your algorithmic game. Make reels and TikToks that promote your music, and make music that is easily pushed in the algorithm. That's really how music promotion works now. and it's all encompassing for the entire world. So to say like that Australian music blogs are to blame for not promoting their own artists enough, I don't think is accurate, because I think they're doing a fine job at promoting Australian music. You know, Triple J goes above and beyond to play Australian music. It might not be the Australian music that you like, but they're still playing Australian music. So, and it's like whenever a band or an artist does pop in the algorithm, they eventually usually do play them anyway. So I don't think that's super accurate, that part. The second point that I want to bring up is just about trends, okay? And it kind of comes back to like this Eka Vandal thing. So he was going like, why does Eka Vandal not get attention? She deserves attention. Okay, fair comment. I think she's pretty cool too. I think she should get attention. Well, here's the thing. Like, Triple J tried to push her, okay? They tried really hard, but she didn't pop off. She just didn't. And this was all before algorithms, okay? So it really comes down to what is trendy and what people are kind of gravitating towards. See, around the same time they were pushing Eka, they were also pushing like Skeggs and Hockey Dad and Spacey Jane and stuff like that. So why did those bands take off and Eka Vandal didn't? They were all getting around the same amount of airplay and promotion. And I think it just comes down to what people are into right now. And that's what people are into. People are into, in Australia, young people below the age of like 30 are into that kind of indie surf rock in that sort of scene. Why are they into it? I don't know. They just are. That's what's really popular right now. Okay. So, you know, if you want to make more out there sort of music that's different to what is popular and different to what is being pushed in the algorithm, then you're going to have it up against you. That's just how it is. So that's the two reasons why I don't really agree with this take. And I saw a lot of people kind of like commenting and you know, it mostly looked like people agreeing. It's like this kind of, why is the stuff that I like not getting the attention that it deserves? Why is my music not getting the attention it deserves? You know, why is the Australian music industry not promoting this band? They should be getting it. It's unjustified. But it's like, well, hold on. If you want to get promotion now is all about self-promotion, really. It's more in your own hands than ever before. And at the end of the day, like, who cares if that promotion is gaining you attention in Australia or if it's gaining you attention in Europe or America? Who cares? At the end of the day, listeners are listeners. It doesn't matter what country they come from, you know? So, yeah, I agree. It would be cool if there were some of these great artists that Ben is talking about that get bigger in Australia, but I don't think that they really care where their followers come from. It'd probably be pretty cool to say you're a Sydney band and you have a big following in Europe. It's a reason to go and, you know, have a European summer. So, and at the end of the day, like, if you think that there's music out there that should be getting attention from Australia and you're passionate about that, he's already kind of doing this, but this is what you need to do. You need to talk about it. You've got a platform, Ben Lee. You've got a way bigger platform than me, and I'm doing this. I'm talking about Australian music that I like because I think it should get attention. So why don't you do more of that? You know, why don't you make a YouTube channel? Why don't you make like a TikTok page or an Instagram page that's dedicated, or you can make a label that's dedicated to promoting Australian music that you like. Anyway, that's my take. I wanted to talk about it because it kind of just got me thinking. I thought, I don't think this is fully accurate. I think it's an old take. It's an old way of looking at things. Like, I remember having that mindset myself, that Triple J controlled everything, but they no longer do. It's more about the algorithm now. Work yourself into the algorithm, promote yourself. If you want to get noticed, work on that. I think it's about 40% accurate. But the other 60% is a little ill-informed. And it comes across a little bit like old man yells at a cloud. There's no point complaining about Triple J and music blogs anymore, because they don't really matter at the end of the day. It's the algorithm that matters. All right. Cheers for watching this one and listening to me ramble. But if you want to chat about it a bit more, drop a comment. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Whatever. Hey, subscribe, come back again, and we can chat more about Australian music. Thanks, bye.